Hi, Julie Myers-Brunt from julieverse.com, and I just finished the book Tell the Wolves I'm Home. Tell the Wolves I'm Home is young adult fiction. It is written for older teens and then on up. I am 39 years old and I truly enjoy the book. In fact, I kind of question the young adult fiction genre. It is definitely, it's about a 14-year-old, it's through a 14-year-old's eyes, so I can see why it's fitting in there. It is about AIDS. It is about her experience in losing a loved one to AIDS, her relationship with him, her understanding of family, and her relationship with others who have AIDS. But it's set in the 1980s, when those of us who were around in the 80s understand AIDS was the AIDS. It wasn't known. There were questions. People were afraid to touch and to kiss and to stand, in the same room as someone with AIDS. So it was a very different time. And while I love historical fiction, I question whether a 15-year-old would really understand the difference of the setting. The 80s are still relatively, I guess it's a long time ago, but it's kind of relatively new. There aren't that many changes. There are definitely some things that are referenced in there that I understood that others didn't. It's funny, when I was reading it, at one point I kept saying to myself, gosh, why can't she just pick up the phone and call her sister and get her to come pick her up? And then I'm like, yeah, no, she doesn't have a cell phone, and her sister wouldn't have a cell phone. So that was just one of the references to the 80s. It is a touching book. It is warm. It focuses on family, forgiveness, love, acceptance, understanding, being different, family values, relationships, siblings. There's so much in this book, and it is an absolutely beautiful book. I really do recommend it. I recommend it for book clubs. I recommend it for, really, I think, for people who were young adults in the 80s. I remember learning about AIDS when my parents came home from that big parent meeting when I was in middle school, and, them having to talk to me about it. I question whether or not an 8th grader now would get the same understanding from this book as someone my age does. So I'm actually, even though it's young adult, I'm actually saying I really think that this should be read by women in their 30s and 40s. And if you do choose to have your child read it, because it is an enlightening book, sure, it's about AIDS. There's references to sex and to gay sex, but it's definitely something that a kid can read, because there's nothing that describes anything you'd be worried about. No bad language, no sex. There is smoking, there is drinking, underage smoking and drinking. But if your child does read it, I highly recommend that you read it with your child, so that you can discuss life in the 80s and make sure they understand that perspective, because times are very different and we accept very different things now, thank goodness. So that was Tell the Wolves I'm Home. There is a link below in the description, and go grab the book. It's another good one.